What if the future of medicine, treating obesity, diabetes, cancer, and even Alzheimer's, was being shaped right now by one company quietly outperforming the rest of the industry? That company is none other than Eli Lilly.
Today, we will be presenting Eli Lilly and Company, ticker LLY on the NYSE, and we are initiating a clear buy recommendation based on its dominant position in metabolic disease, deep drug pipeline, and accelerating financial performance.
I'm Anthar Karthik.
And I'm Sanvi Madi. And over the next few slides, we'll show you how Lilly's innovation engine and global reach are driving durable earnings growth, justifying a premium valuation and attractive upside for long-term investors. Before we break down the numbers, let's step back and look at the powerhouse behind them, the company whose scale, science, and strategy are driving this momentum.
Eli Lilly and Company is a global pharmaceutical and biotechnology leader headquartered in Indianapolis, Indiana, founded in 1876, and now one of the largest research-driven drug makers in the world. It's a major innovator in diabetes and obesity care with its GLP-1 medicines Mounjaro and Zepbound, while also maintaining a diverse portfolio in oncology, immunology, and neuroscience.
Lilly invests heavily in R&D to launch new therapies, expand indications, and its medicine are used by tens of millions of patients worldwide each year, supporting both global health, impact, and long-term growth, which is why we re-emphasize Eli Lilly and Company as a buy recommendation.
Despite the premium valuation, risk remains low. 5-year beta around 0.4, dividend yield near 0.6%, and 1-year total return near 20%, while below its 52-week high. Growth is broad-based in the latest quarter. U.S. revenue rose 43% to $12.9 billion, and international revenue grew 43% to $6.4 billion, fueled by GLP-1 volume supporting our bullish view. Okay, before we jump into Lilly, let's zoom out and look at the industry it's operating in. The global pharmaceutical world is pretty mature, well-established, competitive, and tightly regulated.
Right, but even in a mature industry, something unusual is happening. A wave of growth around metabolic health. Diabetes, obesity, and all of those areas are suddenly booming.
And that's exactly where Lilly steps in, turning that rare opportunity into real momentum. GLP-1-based obesity drugs have effectively created a huge, still underpenetrated market where long-term pricing and access are still being defined by payers, regulators, and competing firms. On the demand side, rising global prevalence of obesity and type 2 diabetes, combined with early real-world evidence of meaningful weight loss and cardiometabolic benefits, is driving intense interest from both patients and physicians. On the competitive front, Novo Nordisk is Lilly's primary GLP-1 rival, while many other large pharma companies are racing to bring next-generation injectables, oral GLP-1s, and combination regimens to market.
Yeah, and at the same time, payers and regulators are closely scrutinizing the long-term cost-benefit profile of reimbursing obesity drugs at scale and evoking policies or price negotiation frameworks that will play a major role in shaping future margins and market access. And this strong industry position creates a new investment opportunity. Eli Lilly has a market-leading franchise in incretin therapies, Mounjaro for diabetes and Zepbound for obesity, both reshaping their categories, with Zepbound sales growing about 185% year over year in the most recent third quarter. Management has also shown a willingness to move quickly on pricing, access, and cost initiatives to defend and extend this leadership as competition intensifies.
Lilly's pipeline and product innovation are equally compelling. Its oral GLP-1, orforglipron, has passed multiple phase 3 trials, creating a non-injection option that can broaden uptake and improve adherence, while its triple agonist retatrutide is in late-stage studies and has delivered very deep weight loss in trials. Beyond obesity and diabetes, Lilly's advancing experimental medicines in areas such as tobacco use disorder, bipolar disorder, and asthma, and is now rolling out new formats like a multi-dose Zepbound pen and direct-to-consumer platforms to strengthen its obesity ecosystem.
Finally, Lilly is building an AI and manufacturing advantage through deep partnerships with NVIDIA and large investments in what it calls an AI factory, dedicated supercomputing infrastructure to drug discovery. These capabilities aim to accelerate target identification, molecule design, and development timelines, while expanded manufacturing capacity is designed to ease GLP-1 supply constraints and support sustained global demand. With scale innovation and execution, Lilly is positioned for durable growth into the 2030s. This is about a sustainable competitive advantage, not some short-term momentum.
While Lilly presents strong growth potential, there are meaningful risks investors must consider.
First, Lilly faces classic patent expiration risk. As older drugs like Trulicity lose exclusivity in the mid to late 2020s, generics and biosimilars could erode sales, highlighting the need for a strong next-generation pipeline. Second, competition in obesity and diabetes is intensifying, with players like Pfizer developing GLP-1 alternatives and new mechanisms that can challenge tirzepatide's dominance if they prove safer, more effective, or cheaper.
Third, revenue is heavily concentrated. Mounjaro drives 38% of product sales, Zepbound 22%, and Verzenio 8%, and the rest just 29%, meaning any regulatory, safety, or competitive setback could hit Lilly's top line and valuation disproportionately.
So if 60% of revenue just comes from 2 drugs, why is Eli Lilly not fragile?
Now, it doesn't make Eli Lilly fragile, but instead exposed, and that's why pipeline depth matters. Concentration increases risks, but innovation offsets it, especially with new medical breakthroughs that can substantially expand a company's growth.
I agree. Just as of yesterday, February 19th, Eli Lilly released VIVID-2 data that showed that Omvo, a Crohn's disease treatment, has been proven as the one and only IL-23p19 inhibitor where more than 90% of patients have had a steroid-free remission.
Now let's see how these risks operate within the competitive landscape by moving over to Porter's 5.
Firstly, the threat of new entrants is low. High R&D costs, long and uncertain FDA approval, timelines, strong patent protections, and complex biological manufacturing make it very difficult for new players to meaningfully compete with Eli Lilly at scale. When it comes to substitutes, the threat is moderate. For serious chronic diseases like obesity, diabetes, and cancer, there are few non-pharmaceutical alternatives that deliver comparable outcomes, but lifestyle changes and procedures such as bariatric surgery provide partial substitutes.
Competitive rivalry can be considered moderate. Lilly faces strong competition from major global pharmaceutical companies such as Novo Nordisk, Pfizer, and Merck, particularly in the GLP-1 therapies and other high-value therapeutic areas. On the supply side, the bargaining power of suppliers is low. Inputs are relatively standardized, Lilly buys at a very large scale, and regulatory requirements make switching costly for suppliers, which limits their ability to demand higher prices or better terms.
Lastly, bargaining power of buyers is moderate. Payers and governments exert pricing pressure through reimbursement decisions and negotiations, but the high medical need and the strong clinical efficacy of Lilly's therapies, especially in metabolic disease, allow the company to retain meaningful pricing power. So we've analyzed the competitive structures and profitability, but what ensures that this growth is sustainable long-term?
That's where ESG considerations come into place. On the environmental side, Eli Lilly is committing to a tangible climate and waste goals. They're targeting meaningful emission reductions on the path to carbon neutrality, aiming for 100% renewable or reusable plastics by 2030, and working towards zero plastic waste to landfill.
Socially, Lilly is focused on access and equity. They aim to improve healthcare access for tens of millions of people in low-resource settings by 2030, have capped U.S. out-of-pocket insulin costs, and partnered with UNICEF, while also promoting diverse hiring, minority and women-owned suppliers, and community and health education programs.
From a governance standpoint, senior leadership oversees ESG under recognized frameworks with a focus on ethical supply chain, strict quality standards, and counterfeit prevention, and they regularly report ESG metrics with ratings that place them from moderate to leader among peers.
Their partnership with NVIDIA to build an AI supercomputer for drug discovery could accelerate how they find and optimize new drugs, improve manufacturing efficiency, and ultimately speed up R&D while lowering long-term costs. But there are risks. This AI push requires heavy upfront investments with payoffs that might take years. It raises data privacy and regulation challenges, and there's always a chance that complex AI systems may underperform or are misused, creating operational or reputational issues.
Despite these risks, Lilly's strong financial performance provides the foundation that makes these strategic investments both manageable and compelling. So let's break down Eli Lilly and Company's financial performance and why it backs our buy recommendation. 2024 sales hit $45 billion, up 32% from 2023, and Q4 revenue surged 45% year over year to $13.53 billion. This is powered by Mounjaro volumes nearly doubling and strong early Zepbound uptake, with forward guidance pointing to mid-high teens to low 20s% growth.
On profitability, Lilly is firing on all cylinders with gross margins consistently in the 80 to 85% range, driven by strong pricing power on Mounjaro and Zepbound. Earnings per share growth has been explosive, up about 19% year over year in 2023 and roughly doubling in 2024, capped by the Q4 GAAP EPS of $7.39. Even with heavy spending on new products and manufacturing, their R&D and SG&A remain impressively efficient. We've also done a relative analysis, where our bear case has an intrinsic value of $1,178.89, which is only roughly around $250 than our base case, which is $1,420.53. On the other hand, our bullish case intrinsic value is around $1,972.20, which is over $500 more than our base case.
Finally, on valuation, Lilly trades at a forward PE in the low to mid-30s, a premium to peers that we think is justified by its EPS trajectory and patent protection on key drugs. The DCF chart on screen shows a base intrinsic value around $1,420 per share. DuPont analysis shows that the majority of ROE comes from profitability, showing that it has good fundamentals.
If you're looking for a pharmaceutical powerhouse with blockbuster growth, a dominant franchise in the metabolic disease, and a clear path to sustained earning expansions, Eli Lilly is the one to own. We rated a strong buy with meaningful upside ahead. Skip the generic plays, grab shares of Lilly, and watch science deliver real shareholder value. Thank you.